Hello everyone and welcome to the Brighton 10K. A quite unprecedented day in Mills running history, but the people have spoken. We are today going to watch myself, Jay Mills. This will be my third year in a row at trying to sneak my way into the 36s over the 10K distance. Falling short with a 38.05 in 2023, slightly better at 37.33 last year, a Mills PB, but still a long way away from getting in the 36s, despite a sub-37 10K training series over 2 years ago. A cracking little series, fully recommend. So these are the goals for the day. The A goal, and this is an A++ goal, a 35.59. An incredibly lofty ambition, especially for someone who hasn't got in the 36s yet. But what is the point in living life without dreams? That B goal though, I want it oh so badly. A 36.30, 340 per kilometre, 553 per mile. I am going to try and hold that pace with everything I'm worth. The C goal, break into the 36s. If I don't do that, I'm packing it in. I'm selling my 7,000 running shoes and I'm disbanding the channel. So let's get to the action and just hope this is not one of those days where I feel like absolute dog shit.
Let's go.
Off and away we go. That is D Mills just ahead of us in the pink top. I let him go first as he's usually better at finding gaps for us to run through when it's busy, but we've actually finally for once started fairly near the front.
Demo, there's a red light on my hat.
Damo confirming that the camera light was on, and some of you eagle-eyed folk might have noticed that I've got the brand new Insta360 Go Ultra on my head, meaning I can finally record a whole 10K without the need to stop-start every K or so we are not going to miss any funny shenanigans that go on. We are going to capture all the juice that happens today, and just look at this. It's a sea of vests. The quick lads and ladettes are out in force, and we're going to try and use them to pace us along to this PB, trying to hold 340 per kilometre till the end. At the moment, 335 to 340 at the top left. We're right on schedule. How is the weather looking, you may ask? Well, temperature-wise, it's absolutely perfect. It's about 10 degrees, lovely and overcast, but not too muggy. And the wind, a little bit breezy, but coming from the land, a north to northeasterly, so mostly a crosswind. You're not going to get many days better than today on the south coast. So don't fuck it up, Jay Mills. 500 metres in, and my initial first thoughts are, isn't it just absolutely divine running along in a pack of people that are already around your pace, not having to surge past people starting too far back? We're all just clippity-clopping along in the mid-36 hype train. My second thoughts were, what the bloody hell is my heart rate doing? It's gone to 176, pretty much my threshold. What D Mills voodoo shit is going on here? It's still rising 177. Please, God, no. I had to tell myself that's definitely wrong. I'm using a Garmin Forerunner 970, which I have tested directly against a real heart rate monitor, and it is usually within a few beats per minute, but surely my heart rate is not approaching 180 after 700 meters. Or I am in for more pain than being a Spurs season ticket holder. Let's just do some deep breaths, in and out, and adjust my watch so I can't see my heart rate. If I can't see it, it's not a problem. Coming through one of the only turns on the course now as we head out onto the main road. I'm feeling very good and in control, just with that slight nagging thought in the back of my mind about the heart rate. Out onto the road we go. Let's lock in. Plenty of room now available, so if I do decide I want to move up, I can just move to the right and move on through. And there we are through the first 1 kilometre split, a 3:39. Good job, Team 340 around me. 9 more of them, please. But shortly afterwards, it felt like we were just easing off the gas ever so slightly. That group ahead was getting away from us, and I was trying to get myself over to the left to move on through, but there was someone there. I put my hand out, I come through, a little cheeky surge up to 310 per kilometre. Someone's feeling good as we latch onto the back of this next group. And I believe in the pink hat there, that is Sam, someone who watches the channel, who was very much going for a 36.30 with me. I didn't actually spot him at the time because I could see Tommy up there, a Crown regular, who basically paced me to a 37.52 on a pretty hilly course a few months ago. So I had my eyes set on trying to get behind him to see if he could do a similar job today, just slightly quicker on a much faster course. Right on the shoulder of Sam, moving past quite a few people here. I set on Tommy in the pink Alpha Fly 4s, the Peacehaven runner, the founder of Peacehaven Running to be precise. And there we go, a little surge. We are almost right with him as we hit the heart of this second kilometre. And whatever Tommy does, we do. He goes past Portsmouth runner. He goes past Burgess Hill runner. We go past Burgess Hill runner, dancing through the streets of Brighton. Just don't look at the heart rate. As Turquoise Alpha Fly 4 makes his move past us, and that's a little bit too quick for us to go with. We're quite happy with our 340 per kilometre at the moment. But just afterwards, my heart rate suddenly dropped down to 164, which is much more in line with how I was actually feeling. And I know, I shouldn't be a slave to the data. I should run on feel, but I'm a dirty modern runner, reliant on Garmin, Strava, massive stack heights, muscle oil, whatever the hell that stuff is. I want it all. And that confirmation that the heart rate was where it felt like, coming down to 163 there, gave me a huge amount of confidence. I had held low 340s in the last 2 years for the first 2 kilometres, but already knew it was going to be a tough day out there to hold that. Right now, I'm very confident I can at least get to halfway holding this pace, and then most likely the work's going to begin. And then just before the second kilometre, I decide I'm feeling so good, I'm going to break away from Tommy, and then I just surge past 3 or 4 people back up to Turquoise Alpha Fly 4s. That is a bold and very brave move, maybe a stupid move, especially as we had just put in a 3:36, comfortably ahead of the pace aim. Oh, I really hope that doesn't come back and bite us. But if that heart rate is correct, I've got a lot more of it to play with than I initially thought about 500 meters before. But let's not get carried away. Let's try and get back to around 340 and not burn our matches too early. We then proceeded to overtake another 4 or 5 people and work our way up behind Green Vest, but I think it was mostly people slowing down rather than me speeding up. I think I was holding my pace relatively well. We will see shortly at the 3rd kilometre split as we now move up behind another pack with M60 at the back, who we move past fairly quickly. And there is the 3rd K, a 3:39. I am very happy with that. I'm racing aggressively but sensibly after that pretty hard second kilometre, just slowly working my way up group to group, and I will just see how far I can get up before it really starts to hurt and it's cling on to someone time, as Bandana Man, for the 3rd or 4th time, moves himself ahead of us. 3.2k 2 miles, and we're in the only slight downhill of the whole race. We do have to come back up it a little later. That has almost ended me in the last 2 years. I'm hopeful I will not feel quite as bad as I did then. And yeah, you can see that downhill is helping our pace speed up to 325 per kilometre briefly. Back on the flat now behind these two, and I remember thinking this feels a little bit too easy again. I fancy a little bit of Bandana, making quick work of them, a brief spurt to 330 per kilometre. We are still being overtaken occasionally as we go through 4 kilometres by Blue Star here, but with a 3:35 in that 4th kilometre, aided by that slight downhill, there is no need to be sad. We are potentially brewing something really quite brilliant. And I am now right behind Sevenoaks runner, who is also someone who watches the channel, called Keith, and he had told me that he was going out for a 37:30. I told him I was going for a 36:30, and he said I would likely catch him at some point as he goes out quite hard and these days fades towards the end. He's called it correctly for now, but let's just hope he doesn't creep back past us at the end if I have gone too fast and blow up. Surely no one wants that, apart from D Mills, who's lurking not that far behind.
Okay, Mills.
Cheers, mate.
Don't go enough too quick. Oh, it's you.
And that was me realising it was Keith, who I had been chatting with in the YouTube comments in the week before the race. I'm now right behind Bandana, maybe trying to go on past him. Will that be for the last time? Probably not, as the absolutely rapid lads and girls come through on the other side of the road. I move on past another couple of runners, maybe. No, I just sit on behind Yellow Vest for now. But it doesn't take long for me to make my move there as well. If I do want to move further ahead, I'm going to have to make up quite a lot of ground to the next group of runners, though. And we are getting towards the turnaround now at 5k. Easing towards that pack ahead, but just by a little bit. Round the corner we go. A very scrumptious 3:37 in that 5th kilometre. And we've gone through halfway in 18 minutes and 5 seconds. Double that, it's a 36:10, and I'm starting to get a little bit excited now. I can afford a teeny weeny little blow up and still get that 36:30. But I'm not looking backwards, I am looking forwards. I'm straight on to the next two. Straight on past the next two, hitting 3:35 per kilometre still. I can just smell just a little cheeky bit of a 35. Just a very small cheeky whiff. But what was a maybe 5% outside chance in my mind is now more like a 20 to 30% chance. And I will do all in my power to try and get as close to that as possible. I've put myself in a ridiculously good position here. And it's the old classic I've said a couple of times. I always think midway through runs how I'm feeling. How would D Mills respond if he was feeling a similar way? He would absolutely send it and get everything from his body. And that's what we're planning to do as we're getting closer and closer to another group of 4 ahead. And there was another person wishing me well on the other side of the road there too, which always helps. And we're right on the back of the next pack now. Little bit tight with runners on the other side of the road, so not looking to get past straight away, but if there is an opening, I will gladly take it. And I do. On to the next one, who I believe is Alfie, who I've spoken to quite a few times after runs. Pretty sure he kicked my ass last year at the end, so hopefully we can get our own back this year. And yes, we sail straight on through. And if anything, I'm beginning to crank the pace up ever so slightly. More 3:35 and 3:30 than 3:35 and 3:40 as in the first half. Could we actually do the unthinkable and pull off the negative split masterclass? As another one bites the dust, and we've again got a little bit of work to get up to the next group. But I've already done it so many times today, so I'm feeling really confident that I can get on up there. And a 3:36 6th kilometre is just continuing to make me believe. And after my watch throwing a wobbly at the start, if that heart rate is correct at the top left, I've not even hit my threshold yet, which is 175. I should theoretically have enough to ramp this up, as I am overtaken, and at a considerable pace. The way she came through just looked like she was going to clear on off from me, and then another girl comes through. Looked to me like they were running together, and it looked like they might have a little bit too much for me. And I go with them up behind this group, and they move on through. And I remember thinking, I think this is just a little bit too much for me. I'm not sure I can go with that. And then all of a sudden I was like, absolutely not, J Mills. This is perfect. This is exactly what you need to try and get the most out of you today. So I make a split-second decision to just give it a big old surge to make sure they don't get away from me. I don't know why that guy is just chilling, running in the middle of the road with a towel on his back. But I have managed to follow these two through. The effort has gone up quite substantially, it feels like. The pace hasn't really gone up. I think I was potentially just beginning to fall off that 3:35 pace, and I needed a kick up the backside if I wanted any dreams of actually somehow breaking into the 35s, and that's exactly what I got from Yellow Gardening Gloves and W35. I knew going with them would make that pain come a little bit quicker than if I had just sat at my own pace. And there, my heart rate creeping 175, 176, hitting that threshold. It was going to start hurting soon. But if I could hack it with them, I could really potentially do the unthinkable and get a sub 36, which would quite possibly be the very best day of my life. Back onto the main road, right behind Gardening Gloves. W35 getting a little bit away from us.
Keep going.
Hello, Amelia. As we enter the Brighton 10K Hill of Doom, the 2 to 3% gradient that's ended my career the last 2 years. How are we going to fare up it this year? It certainly still feels thoroughly unpleasant, but my speed has managed to go at the slowest to 350 per kilometre this year. I think it went down to 430 last year. And as we get to the top, I have my sights fully set on trying to claw my way back up behind W35. And the 7th kilometre, despite that little hill, is still a 338. We are still cooking up something amazing. We've been overtaken by Brighton Try. That's absolutely okay. And Gardening Gloves is back. More people to drag us along. 3 kilometres to go. The heart rate's up to the high 170s at the top of that hill. It's starting to really hurt, but you can smell that finish line now. Under 3 kilometres to go. And now it's just lots and lots of mental games going on. Brighton Try it. Just felt like he was a bit too quick for me, but I was like, no, you can go with this. You're fit enough. You've done enough hard work over the years. You deserve a really good 10k result after some disaster classes. Let's up that Mills 10k PB to something that's going to be extremely difficult for W and D Mills to ever beat. But you can tell it's getting hard for me to stick with them. Garden Gloves has locked in on the slipstream of Brighton Try. I'm just sitting a few metres off, and they've chosen to run on the inside there, and I don't like getting potentially boxed in on the inside, so I like to stay on the outside where I know I can always move to the right if need be. And you have to be careful here as bollards do appear out of nowhere, but I've managed to keep enough speed to move past the girl in the blue top, and I'm just a few metres behind. As we reach 3/4 distance, just 2.5 k's to go. And then as we go under the I-360, I managed to get right behind them. We're not too far away now as we ease past Blackfest there. And we're all working super hard at the end of this 8th kilometre, getting closer and closer to our next victim. Brighton Try making the first move, I following suit, and we're really cranking that pace up, briefly going to 325 per kilometre there. And with a 334 8th kilometre, we are now right on the cusp of actually doing a sub 36, breaking into the 35s. 2 more kilometres at that speed, and I believe we will do it by the skin of our teeth. The finishing line is coming into view on the left-hand side. It's just a shame we've got to run all the way round and then back towards it. But we really are getting close now. And now as we approach 8.4 kilometres and the final mile, Brighton Try moves on past Helen, who was the runner from Hastings Half Marathon, who absolutely destroyed us. But we're going through today, following on behind Brighton Try. We've been holding 330 per kilometre for most of this kilometre, with occasional flicks into the 320s. It's getting to the point where I'm not sure how much of a kick I'm going to have, but hopefully I might not need one. If I just hold this pace till the end, I think I will just about do it. But then there's always the worry that I will have to run further than my watch says, as GPS is never fully correct, so we might need to muster up something. But every breath is beginning to get harder and harder. But this is why I do those death intervals when I'm doing 5-6 times a mile. That final one is the worst pain in the world, but it means I believe, I know I can do that final rep. I can do it at the end of this race, and I can get a sub 36 as I move on past Brighton Try. Or do I? No, we're side by side as we really get into the business end of proceedings. I'm beginning to breathe out my arse, but it won't stop me. And I think I have actually managed to get the better of Brighton Try there. And I can see I'm not far behind W35. Let's see if I can make my way up to her before the turnaround. As my heart rate hits 180 and the passion meter is beginning to pop. But W35 is continuing to motor past people herself, but I make it past those two. I look like I'm going to flash straight past Green Vest, and now I am right with W35 again. We've put in a quite unprecedented 3 minute 31 in that 9th kilometre. We are breathing down the neck of a sub 36. We've overtaken W35, and all we know is to just move on to the next person today. Catch the next person, pass the next person, achieve Mills glory. 900 metres to go. How much do you want that sub 36, Jodie? Because it's yours for the taking. Down the corner we go on a bit of an outside line, not ideal. I'm trying to put a bit of a surge in to get ahead of Redvest to take the optimal line into this final corner, but he's still on my inside as we head into the final stretch for home. And what do I have left in the tank as the finish line just about comes into sight, but it seems a long way away. I am so far ahead of where I've ever been at this point in a 10K, and someone is beginning to outkick me. But no, this final kilometre is J Millstown. I may be inconsistent in the first 9 kilometres, but this final K is mine. How many can I take down in the final 600 metres? We're up to 4 quickly, and we're going at 3:15 per kilometre. 6, and there's plenty more where that came from. Everyone's over on the left in lane 1. I'm in the speedy lane in lane 4, and I'm already hitting 3:05 per kilometre. I really did not think I had much of a kick in me, but this could be a final kilometre for the ages if I could keep this up. As 4 more souls are seen off, and there's now quite a large gap to the next group. D-Mills would be proud of me. The death coughs are flowing. Just 300 metres left to try and maintain this speed. I've been holding around 3:10 per kilometre for much of this final kilometre. I can see the finish, but that pain is intensifying, and it's somehow looking further and further away with each stride. But I've made it to the back of a Dennis the Menace friend, and I'm straight on through. We now just need to get to that finish line within the next 50 seconds as we hit 3 flats per kilometre and take our 14th victim. Finally, we are almost actually there. I am just focused on behind Whitevest, trying to see if I can get to number 15, but my legs have fully gone. I have got no more left in me. Absolute jelly. I wish someone had a video me at the end, but look at the clock at the top. 35:38. We're miles under. We're going to do a 35:45-ish. What have I just done after a 3:13 final kilometre? And yes, my official chip time was a 35:45, and I actually did need a ridiculously fast final K there to go under 36 as I ran 40 metres over on my watch. But what an incredible feeling. I was just as jubilant as that guy just ahead of me. Thank you so very much for watching. Thank you for anyone who cheered for me on the day or put supportive messages on Strava afterwards. You are all absolute legends. Thank you all of my Crown Plus members. You will be able to see the whole of this video, the whole 35-45 minutes, uncut with no editing, directly as this goes live as well. And that will continue going forward, where you will be able to watch every single race, all of the footage that we managed to get, raw and uncut. So thank you again for watching. We will be back in a couple of days, hopefully, to watch D Mills, see if he can potentially break his 10K PB that we really didn't think he was anywhere near. We'll see you then.